It's never easy, and it's never over, and it will be a fight renewed each morning. But it's possible. A little over 4 years ago, I started this channel, called it the Florida Maquis. Many people were unaware of who the Maquis were in World War II, the French and Spanish freedom fighters living in occupied lands. An uphill fight every day against an enemy that had virtually every advantage. Superior technology, superior forces, superior finances, yet they prevailed. In today's video, we're going to cover those tactics, cover those strategies, and show you the weakness. Many people have come and said, Maquis, Donald Trump has now returned to Florida. How can we stay in the fight? Joe Biden has been installed in Washington, D.C. That actually makes it easier, and they gave us a gift yesterday. They gave us a gift of intelligence. It shows us where their mind is. I'm sure many of you saw this little mini event where they had former presidents Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama all talking about unity at the Biden inauguration. It was hilarious. Remember when George W. Bush said it was our patriotic duty to go shopping? Remember when Bill Clinton talked about the vast right-wing conspiracy against him? Standing next now to George W. Bush. And then Mr. Of course, we can't forget, Hope and Change on the right, who ended up killing more people with drones than George W. Bush did. This was a gift so that people could all see it in one picture. That the bourgeoisie ruling political class has been playing a game this entire time. But what was their message? What was their message? It's real simple. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Everything is okay now. Normalcy has been restored. Normality has been restored. Remember the normality bias from the PSYOP training? See, that's their God. Normalcy. Normality. I used this thumbnail some videos back talking about what was coming. Some people thought I was talking about all of America. America is truly a continent. There's North America, there's South America, and there's Central America. It's pretty much the Western Hemisphere. But we ain't all alike. And what's coming to parts of America are not coming to other parts of America. Decision biases. Number one, if you want to stay in the fight, if you want to maintain forward progress, this is where it begins. Normalcy bias is the refusal to react to intelligence to plan for unprecedented problems. You see, those in charge now are facing unprecedented problems. They think they've won, meaning their supporters, but those actually sitting in the seats realize they have a problem. See, the first reaction is irrational escalation, tendency to make irrational decisions, usually quickly, as a way to make past, faltering rational decisions look smarter. See, they decided to run Joe Biden, the most conservative possible Democrat, as their way of standing against Donald Trump. Well, you see, Donald Trump is gone now, but they had to beat him with a conservative. See, for the left, that's why there were riots in Portland and Seattle last night. And this is what they're hiding. Short-term benefit bias, tendency to choose quicker inferior benefit without regard to probability of both outcomes. See, it's starting to sink in. It's starting to sink in that Trump supporters have a lot more in common right now with AOC, and this was another thumbnail I used, than they do with anyone else. Her caucus is not happy. They are upset. They are angry, almost irrationally so. This is why I gave this young lady that advice I did in that video, to perhaps take a step back and see what she was part of. Because the Maquis had to make allies where they could find them. The French and the Spanish didn't always get along, but the French Maquis and the Spanish Maquis did quite well, worked together seamlessly. And there's a book called The Undefeated, where they talk about how successful the Spanish Maquis were in resisting the German occupation. Because this is easy. This is easy. To get on one side and look over at the other and label them. This is what the media is doing right now. Pick a side, and you look at the other side and you see their wicked despot, their primitive superstitions, their backward savages, and their brutish invaders. Even though they have all of the same thing on their side, they just refer to them differently. It's all about perspective. And this is the most important perspective to keep. If you want to stay in the fight, if you want to stay active, stay engaged, there are no good men or good people in Washington, D.C., period. If they are there, they are part of the problem. If they are there, they are part of the problem, period. End of sentence. That was my big problem with Mr. Trump ever going there and becoming a Republican. How does one fix the problem when one becomes part of the problem? And now we see that truth, don't we? Now we see that truth. That when it came down to it, they abandoned him. When he didn't bow the knee to their way of doing things. There are no good people here. There are no people here that represent you and me. And this group of people, I know everybody's like, oh, they're the enemy and they're going to deliver us to China. Horse crap. The normalcy biased people are in charge now. The business as usual people are in charge now. These are not them. These are not them. How do we know that? Right here. Alphonse D'Amato was on Newsmax yesterday. And you know what he was talking about? Alphonse D'Amato was one of the most conservative Republican senators that ever served. Ever served. And he was excited about Joe Biden because he was a conservative. George Bush speaking glowingly of him. What does that tell you? Long time ago, I put out shirts talking about devoted, saying they're both the problem. But I had to come to a reality on YouTube that if I continued to speak that way, they were going to deplatform me. They were going to deplatform me if I continued to speak against the RD paradigm. So I had to appear as if I was choosing one side or the other. And I did so well enough that it fooled the AI. Now does it make sense? Now does it make sense why there was always this consternation and this upset about Trump versus Republican? Trump is a Republican. No, wait, no, he's not. Pence is a Republican. How can he be one? So is Mitch McConnell. And he doesn't like Trump. But Trump is a Republican and a conservative. How can I be? You see the problem there? There was Trump. And then there was the Republicans. And you cannot make a deal with the devil and expect to not get burnt. You cannot make a deal with the devil and expect to not get burnt. This is why people get upset when you challenge what they hold most closely, cognitive dissonance, mental conflict that occurs when beliefs or assumptions are contradicted by new information. The concept was introduced by the psychologist Leon Festinger, late 1950s. Most people seek to preserve their current understanding of the world by rejecting, explaining away, or avoiding the new information, or by convincing themselves that no conflict really exists. Does this make sense now? Does this make sense? Now, some people got really, really upset, really super upset about this particular thumbnail that I used. Couldn't get over the imagery of Nelly in the middle and flanked by two pictures of Ivanka on either side. See, they didn't look closely at what this picture was from. See, this is a screenshot from the video Ride With Me, but the big hook of the song is must be the money. Must be the money. You see, that's truly what this is all about. The reason they need you to think it's normal, the reason they need you to think everything's going to be fine now is so that you can do, as George W. Bush said, go do your patriotic duty and start going shopping again, because they need tax revenue and they need it badly. But in that statement, they give us our opening. In that statement, they give us our opening. We can make them pay through the nose. In fact, here's a website, ustr.gov/countries-regions/United States. I will, of course, give you the link. And you can, right here, go select any state you want, and you can find out where they get their tax revenue from export. The new North Korean states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota. You can find out where and from what those states get their tax revenue, and simply not support them anymore. They're desperate. They are desperate for money in the North. They are on the verge of collapse, and they want unity. They don't want unity because they want unity with you. This is another big mistake people are making. When they're talking about unity here, they're not talking about unity with Trump supporters. They're talking about unity within their own party. I know that surprises a lot of people, but they're talking about unity within their own party. There are people inside the left that are fuming, that are incredibly angry. They thought they thought Barack Obama was going to be hope and change. That never happened. And now they have this guy back after 4 years of Trump. And they're going to get some mishmash of these three. Meanwhile, the South gets richer and richer and richer and more wealthy. They're even finding it out on these platforms. All upset because CNN can't get any views, MSNBC can't get any views, but Right Side Broadcasting Network and all the right wing getting huge amounts of traffic, huge amounts of views. People engage with the ads. Because that's the real truth here. This isn't going to be about ideology or philosophy or, MAGA or anything else like that. It's going to be about money. It's going to be about who can make it, who can drive the revenue. And those who can make the money, drive the revenue, pay the bills, they're going to be the ones in the driver's seat. So don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. When you go to the store, take the time, look at the label, see where it's made. Pennsylvania, oh, back on the shelf. Michigan, oh, yeah, sorry. Not going to buy Michigan apples today. I'm going to go grab some peaches from South Carolina. In fact, I just recommend, generally speaking, dairy off the table, because that would deal with both Pennsylvania and Wisconsin because of the vast amount of dairy that they export. If you must have dairy, see if you can find something from Brazil or Texas or Florida. Something made here in the southern states. Tennessee has a lot of agriculture as well. A lot of things made there. Just take the time. Turn over the package. See where it was made. We can break those governments. We can break them. And that's what it's really about, stopping the tax revenue to the North. That was the big mistake made by the South in the War of Federal Aggression back last 19th century. They should have taken a breath and just continued to financially break the North. It's just that easy. Because we have established now clearly, it is about values. It is about values. You see if I can find the proper picture here. Hold on. It isn't about state lines. It isn't about America. It's about values. Support people who have your values. If they don't support them. Believe me, once wealth becomes more concentrated and more concentrated in the southern states, they will break. They will relent. They had to get three former presidents and, well, I guess technically 4 now. All on this little bandwagon. 3 of them for sure could be called somewhat conservative-ish. Bush is from Texas, Clinton from Arkansas. As far as Democrats go within their caucus, no one can deny that Joe Biden is way to the right. Barry, he probably wasn't left enough. He probably wasn't lefty enough. Not for her. Not for her, believe me. They're getting the sit down and shut up routine right now. But that opens a door. That opens a door. The enemy of my enemy. We can look at these people and say, see, they lied to you too. They lied to you too. How can you continue to support that? Anyway, I will leave it there. 18 minutes. This is the idea. Not going to be easy, but it ain't over. A fight renewed each morning, but it is possible. Like, share, subscribe.